I am happy with all what happened in my life, with the pain, with the ups, with the downs, because they made me the person I am today. Otherwise, I will be somebody else. So I thank him for this.
Join us now for First Person with our guest Rita Elmounayer of Sat7 Christian Television, reaching the Middle East or North Africa with the gospel message. You'll hear her life story of growing up in war-torn Lebanon. I'm Wayne Shepherd. Thanks for tuning our way to hear Rita's dramatic testimony, which will start in just a moment. These weekly interviews are made possible by the Far East Broadcasting Company because telling the stories of God at work in the world encourage all of us in our faith. They give us courage to live for Christ and carry on the gospel message ourselves. FEBC has many stories to tell, and you can support its broadcast ministry to millions. Learn more of what you can do to help FEBC at firstpersoninterview.com. Rita Elmounayer's title is Chief Channels and Communications Officer, as well as Deputy CEO at Sat7. But with that title, she carries a passion to reach both children and adults in a very troubled region of the world with the hope of Christ. In this first-person interview, she tells her story of growing up amidst war and violence, an experience that drives her today.
Well, I'm Lebanese, born during the war in Lebanon, and it was not an easy childhood. It was a tough childhood. Because during the war, there was no security, of course, and no electricity, no water. Maybe a lot of times my sister and myself didn't go to school. A lot of times we're like off on school, sleeping in bunkers or being displaced, to a place where it's safer. To make things worse, we lost our mom. Oh. I was 7 and my sister was 5. And we were shared in the family. So sometimes we go to my uncle, sometimes, to my auntie, because my dad didn't have the time to take care of us. He was so much involved in the Christian militia. So just imagine a life of 2 children, 2 girls, in a situation like Lebanon, where you don't know where it's safe, east or west. People are killed and sometimes in front of us.
You witnessed people being killed? Yes.
Yes.
As a child?
As a child, yes.
That must have been horrible.
Yes. Yes, it's horrible. I think in that context, I think families or like parents don't think much. So my dad wanted us to see this in a way, so he will make us tough. He's a soldier, and it was a big mistake. Just like tough. See, these are the enemies. You need to, to protect yourself. You need to do something different.
But did it harden your heart at all?
It softened it.
It softened your heart.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I think what happens in your life, like the hardship or pain, or maybe the celebrations, your reactions towards what happened in your life makes you the kind of person you are. And some people react in a very negative way. I think I was blessed that I reacted in a positive way. Today, I have a heart for people who are in pain.
Oh, of course.
I have a heart for Syrian children. I have a heart for Syrians. And if you look to the history of Lebanon, the whole war and my insecurity and my fear is because of Syrians. And before that, Palestinians. And, after that, like when Israel invaded Lebanon. And after that, it's the religious, war between Muslim and Christian. So to have this reaction, like my reaction towards life, that, Lord, I want to serve you. I want to make a difference. I want to love my enemies. They were the enemies for many years. But when I got to meet them and travel around, they're human beings, like people like me. And they're paying the price, the innocent. So when there is a political game, and the innocent always pay the price. And today I can tell that my reaction towards what happened in my life, the positive reaction, is because of him. He gave me this heart because he knew from before that I will be in Sat7. He was preparing me for this ministry, for this call in my life, to help people around.
But what happened as you grew and as you became a teenager and young adult? What was life like for you then?
It was very tough life because we come from a poor family and the war continued. And we had a lot of insecurity. The church that I went to was not very active, so I started going to another church.
You were going to a Christian church?
Yes, evangelical church.
Did you believe in Christ at this time?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I come from a Catholic family, but a committed family.
Okay.
But it happened that those days during the war, the Catholic church where I live was not very active. So I started going to a Protestant church. And there, I connected with people like me, like insecure. I started to go to youth meetings before I went to the church. Connected with people like me, and I saw that they have security, even though they lived like me, during the war. And I started bit by bit, like knowing more about the Bible. I knew about Jesus, but I didn't know a lot about the Bible. And my questions started to, they were elaborated more, and I started getting answers, but not a lot of answers. I mean, the beauty in our Christian faith that to love God even if we don't have all the answers. Mm-hmm. And I prayed, like the what do you call it, the salvation prayer, or
yes,
I invited Jesus
prayer
to come into my life.
Sure,
yes,
yeah.
I was like 15 years of age. And I thought that after I prayed that prayer, everything's going to be okay. That, life is going to be happy ever after, and all my problems would go away. And I treated, I think, Jesus like an ATM machine. So you just pray, and then now, all your problems will vanish. But it's not true. I think the difference was that the problem stayed, and some got worse. But the difference was that I could feel him with me. So this is like the teenage years. And then I started working with radio. And after that, SAT7.
So you started in radio, moved to television. Programming television on camera?
On camera.
Okay.
And also writing and producing a children's show. This is how I started with SAT7. So SAT7, when it started its launch, the 31st of May, 1996, I was there. I was on the screen. You shouldn't see me there. It was like crazy how I was, acting. But and also it was an interesting story because SAT7, those days, they were not launched yet, but they were looking for media professionals, yet committed Christians. Mm-hmm. And they came to FEBA. They paid us a visit. FEBA.
Let's explain that FEBA is the same as the Far East Broadcasting Company in this state, in the States, in the U.S.
Right. That's right. So they came to our office, and it happened that I was showing them around. And one of them was like really interested, with the way I talked and showed around. And he was like bugging me the whole time. You have to come to our office and have a screen test. And I said, I don't want to be on television. I'm happy with my work. And but at the end, to let him, shut up, I went. But it was also interesting because when I went, I was not prepared. Everybody was like, you're prepared and nervous because they want, to be on the screen. And I was not prepared. And I went there and I had the screen test and I was like myself. Hey, hello, everybody, blah, blah, and they loved me more. And then they asked my boss in FEBA if they can have me as a part-time doing the children program because they saw also my writing. I wrote in FEBA and hosted the youth program. Okay. The interesting story is when they told me, Rita, they filmed a pilot with me and they took it to SAT7 Cyprus and they were the board and I was not familiar with all what's happening. And they came back, they said, Rita, we need you. And this is very important to us. And I was so scared. I said, like, me? I'm in television? I know nothing about television. And especially that serving, like the Arab world, I don't know anything. I know the children in Lebanon, they lived like me, like with atrocities and war and whatever. But, children in Egypt or North Africa or the Gulf or Iraq, I have no idea how to serve these, children. And that night, 3 weeks before the launch of SAT7, it was the 6th of May, 1996, I couldn't sleep, so I went out from my bedroom and I started praying. And I started praying, and I felt that a voice talking to my heart, Rita, you will be good. And your success is by loving these children. And this love that you're going to give to these children is not your love. It's my love. So you will be just a channel taking from me and giving to these children. And I remember I was closing my eyes and like crying. And I started seeing just pictures of children. Children I don't know, I never met in my life, but children, eating ice cream, dropping ice cream on their clothes, children riding a camel, children, barefoot. And I felt that God has given me that night a love above all love. When you laugh sometimes and then it hurts, in your stomach, in your guts, I don't know what you called it. Mm-hmm. This is how I felt. I felt I can't breathe anymore. It hurts very much. This love you're giving me, Lord, it's too much. And I contribute the success of the children program. From the first month or the second month, this children program, it was 10, 15 minutes in a 2 hours broadcast. This is how Set 7 started. 2 hours broadcast a week. And I had the 15-minute slot for children program. It was a hit. And I really contribute this hit, not because of me or the writing. It's him. It's his love. And letters, came, and we couldn't, stop the flow of letters coming. So I had at the end to give up FEBA and be full-time with Set 7 doing, children program. Just want to say one more thing regarding this children program. It was called Ears of Wheat or As-Sanabil in Arabic.
Grains of wheat.
Grains of wheat.
Right, yeah.
And I started moving around in the region. So went to Tunis, Morocco, Jordan, just to meet these children that are watching. And it's amazing when I start seeing them running towards me, their arms open for a hug and their lips ready for a kiss. They're all coming. I felt, and I can see that they loved me. I felt each time they do this that I loved them first. Yeah. And I saw them before.
The fields are ripe for harvest is what the image that comes to my mind, right?
Yes, yeah. And I saw them long before they saw me. I met them long before they met me. It was the 6th of May, 96. And this is how, my call or my ministry started with Set 7.
And we'll learn more about the life and ministry of this young Lebanese woman, Rita Elmounayer, coming up today on First Person.
This is Ed Cannon, president of the Far East Broadcasting Company. FEBC partners with First Person to bring these interviews to you each week because we never tire of hearing how God moves on the hearts of people to accomplish His purpose. Whether in the hard-to-reach places of the world or right here at home, we serve a living God who leads men and women to do great things for Him. Learn more about FEBC at firstpersoninterview.com. Click on the FEBC banner.
Rita, let's pick up your story, and we'll talk more about the ministry of Sat 7, a television programming service to the Middle East, to the Arab world, which is so exciting, and it's amazing what God's doing.
Not just the Arab world, also Turkey and Iran.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that correction. But let's talk about, you're in television now, and you have a leadership position in television now.
That's right.
But television meant a lot to you when you were that little girl. Right?
Yes,
and
yes.
You would watch television in the bunker, I understand?
That's right, yes. I think what Dad did those days to make my sister and I forget about what's happening around us, because it was very loud, and bombs and killing, and we are in the bunkers doing nothing. You're there and there's nothing, no electricity or candles. Or he did two things. Either he told us stories when he was around, or when he wanted to go, because he's a fighter, he's a soldier, he will bring a television set and he will hook it to the car battery because there's no electricity.
Sure, yeah.
And he will let us watch television. And we're sitting in front of the television, black and white set, and watching, I don't remember what, but I think Egyptian soap operas, anything. Just to...
There was no Sat 7 in those days.
No. And each time the bombs are heavier outside, the volume is higher. So we will be distracted from all what's happening outside and immerse ourselves in a world that maybe is fake. Of course it's fake, but it's different than the world.
It was escapism for you.
Yes, it was an escape. It was a refuge in a way. Yeah. And the interesting thing that my sister and myself now, we're both in television and we're both in Sat7 because we knew since our early years the effect of television in our lives. So we were thinking all the time, so what about if it's a Christian television, a television with a message? And this is what we're trying to do, both of us.
Right.
Especially regarding children. She is in the Sat7 Kids, like a channel.
I love those stories. I love how God used that early experience to really propel you into what you're doing now. That's just amazing. Yeah. Sat7 reaches, you said, realistically, you know that it reaches at over 20 million people.
Yes.
But it's a lifeline, isn't it? I mean, let's talk about the world that it broadcasts into. This is not your typical audience for Christian broadcasting, is it?
No. I mean, how can you enter a closed home without media or without television? How can you tell a person about God's love or Jesus' love when there's no church in a country? Or they cannot hear his voice or his word. Of course they can hear his voice, but not his word. Mm-hmm. How can you tell millions of children or millions of women that they will maybe not have the chance to go out, or in a country like maybe Iraq and Syria, they will not have chance to go to schools or to even go to church if they are Christian, because there is Christian minorities in these countries. How can you reach these people without television? Television in the Middle East is a vital part of our furniture. It is not in the bedroom, it's in the living room. And people gather around it.
So it's a family activity.
It's a family activity and also neighbor activity. I mean, like including the neighbor. This is what I'm trying to say. So it's always in the background. The women cook while the television on. The children, watch or play when the television on. The neighbors come and visit and the television is on. And it's a communal, activity that everybody, share. Mm-hmm. And it's a source of uncensored information.
So it's not interfered with in any way?
It's not in any way. It's free in a way because you buy the television set and the satellite. You pay $70 for the satellite. And in 1 second, when you hook it to the television, you can receive more than 500 free-to-air Arabic channels.
So they buy the hardware.
Yes.
But there's no programming fee. Like we pay a cable bill. They don't have to pay a cable bill.
Nothing. You just pay $70, for the receiver and the satellite, $80, maybe $100 if you want a fancy receiver. And you can watch 500 different Arabic channels. And among these Arabic channels, Sat7 is there and Sat7 Kids is there. This is the Arabic, if we're talking about the Arabic channel.
Sure.
And also with the Turkish channel, the same thing, and you are watching a Christian Turkish channel.
So forgive me, but is Sat7 one channel or are there multiple channels?
It's 4 channels.
Okay.
Apologies, I didn't say that before. It's 4 channels, 4 different channels. 2 Arabic, one for the family, one for kids, 24 hours.
A whole channel for kids.
A whole channel for kids.
It must really be fulfilling for you.
It's not my favorite, but don't tell anyone.
Okay, all right.
and we have a 24-hour channel for Iran in Farsi, so it's called Sat7 Pars. And we have also a 24-hour channel for Turkey, and it's called Sat7 Turk.
Okay.
And these channels are 24/7.
Even in Iran, you're not interfered with.
To homes in Iran.
That's a miracle.
It is a miracle. I mean, and sometimes the government come and confiscate all the satellites.
Yeah.
But the second day you see the same people selling these satellites double the prices or something. So it's a source of uncensored information, free entertainment, free education.
Are you able to hear from viewers in Iran?
Oh, yes.
Well, what do they say to you?
The best feedback is from Iran. I mean, yes, we have lots of feedback from the Arab world because 23 countries. Mm-hmm. We have just give you an example of feedback for the Arabic channels. Is we have 1.3 million YouTube downloads a month. A month. for our Arabic, because, we put a few, clips on the YouTube. Now, Iran, it's not dramatic, like, quantity-wise, but quality-wise, it's fantastic. What God is doing in
we
a
don't
country
understand
like
that.
Iran,
We don't have that perspective at all. You are right there. You have that perspective of what God is doing in what we would call a closed country.
Yeah.
But it's not closed to your broadcast.
It's not closed, no. I mean, the interesting thing in all this, that how the church and how people come to God when there is hardship and pain. When everything is easy, people tend to, everything is easy. We don't need God in our lives. I think it's a blessing, and I pray that I'm not diluting the situation here. I sometimes it's like Paul. It's a blessing. It's a blessing sometimes when you see a church thriving and flourishing in the midst of hardship and pain. When you see people never, ever denying Christ in the middle of, like a persecution, and they consider persecution a crown on their heads. Back to the feedback from Iran.
Yeah.
This is just like recently, just to give you an example. Little girl of 12, 13 years old, she wrote to us and she said, I'm watching your teaching shows on Set 7 Pars. And I think I love Jesus and I prayed with you and I'm a Christian. And we were like really we're excited, but we're thinking 13 years old, watching teaching shows and understanding them. She should be watching the children program or the youth program. But it didn't, end here. And we encouraged her and we prayed for her and sent her like something to download, After like maybe 1 month or two, she wrote back and she said, I'm continuing to watch your teaching show. And today the pastor was saying, I have to proclaim my faith by baptism. But I don't know anyone, I don't know any church around. I don't know any pastor. I don't know where to get baptized. But I got an idea. I went to my bathroom. I filled the bath with water. And I went down in Jesus' name and up a new creation. And now I can tell you, I'm a Christian. This is the kind of...
You're going to make me cry. You're going to make me cry. That's amazing. And think about all the people who aren't able or don't contact you.
That's right.
I mean, you're hearing from probably a fraction of the people, right?
That's right. Yes, we will be very surprised.
So exciting. All right. Rita, God has given you so many gifts, not only on camera, but in an executive role as well. So that's the role that you're playing now at Set 7.
That's right.
Tell me about that.
It's a blessing to see how God uses a female Middle Eastern to head a television network.
Right.
That the founder of this television network is British, and we work with a lot of Americans and like foreigner. To have the board, international executive board, that comprises of Middle Eastern but also Westerners, to accept a female from the Middle East to head a ministry like Set 7.
Well, it speaks to your exceptional qualities and qualifications then for the ministry is what it does, doesn't it?
Well, I am like more than grateful, and I can see how God, moved, from those years when I was in bunkers. I am happy with all what happened in my life, with the pain, with the ups, with the downs, because they made me the person I am today. Otherwise, I will be somebody else.
Wow.
So I thank Him for this.
That's such a powerful thought expressed by Rita. Despite the trial, she wouldn't change anything about her life because of how God has used it to make her who she is in Christ. Our guest has been Rita Elmounayer of Set 7 Christian Television, serving millions in the Middle East and surrounding nations. There are many exciting developments at Set 7 which we didn't have time to talk about today, including an educational channel for refugee children which is being launched. But we'll place links to additional information on our website, firstpersoninterview.com. If you appreciated today's conversation, please take a moment to thank the Far East Broadcasting Company by visiting our website and clicking on the FEBC banner. Now, with thanks to my friend and producer Joe Carlson, I'm Wayne Shepherd, inviting you back next time for First Person.